Welcome everyone to episode number 180. We've only got 20 episodes left after today until we hit 200. And for our 200th episode, which will be airing on January 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Pablo and Eli will be joining me and we will be hosting all of this together. So make sure to mark your calendars to be here for that special occasion. Not sure what we're doing yet. We'll do something special, some kind of awesomeness, but definitely save the date. I'm here with our members, Thomas and Jay and Mike Kim, and we're going to get started in just a moment, but I want to talk to you about what office hours is. And actually, it's interesting because there was a question, I think the question happened in after hours last night with a member, and Ben was talking about how he was planning, he's rebuilding his app and he has several different episodes of office hours he was going to go back through because he knows that the answers to his questions are in those office hours. And I was kind of cautioning him. I was like, that's not really what office hours is about. What we're trying to do here for our members is you can come on to any of or all of our 6 sessions per week, Monday through Friday, and you can ask any bubble questions you want. And that means you can ask the same question multiple times. And it also means you can ask easy questions and hard questions and everything in between. There are no questions that we won't accept during office hours. There are some times when the answers will take too long or it's a little bit more complex and we have to push that answer out of office hours, but you can always ask your questions. And part of the value of office hours is you don't have to go scouring tons of different videos. You don't have to go to the forum and to Facebook and to even our vault to ask your question and get a rapid response. So please do go check out our subscription at ProNoCoders.com. Sign up. We are raising the price from $99 per month to $119 per month on the 1st of January. So go to ProNoCoders.com and sign up while you can still get it, get yourself grandfathered in at the lower price. So welcome, Jay. Welcome, Thomas. How's it going?
Good.
Do we have any questions to start?
I'm just having a little, I could use some insight into a data structure thing. I just keep looking at it different ways and I'm getting more and more confused.
Well, show me.
Okay. Okay. So here's my data structure. Companies they have industries. And the industries are things like, let's say, healthcare. And then industries have industry segments. So that might be like large physician group, healthcare delivery organization, clinic, different types. And then those can be regions, which is obviously geographical, or they can be sizes. And I originally had this set up so that industries had segments and then everything was in the segment. But when I went to actually work with it, with some test data, it wasn't flexible enough. And the other thing is when I do it this way, that the user ends up being able to create their own segments and sizes, which was my original intention. Mm-hmm. But once I got deep into it, I started thinking about sometimes too much flexibility makes it harder for the user. And wouldn't it be better, or would it be better, to give them canned, SMB, Soho, Enterprise for sizes? And then I figure if people are using this app and they want something different, they'll tell me. And I can worry about that then.
Right.
So last night, in the way too late, when I even said to myself, I'm drowsy bubbling, this is dangerous, like drowsy driving. I shouldn't do this, but I did it anyway. So I made these 2 separate data types to offer a canned list of sizes or of regions. I don't know what to stick with. What do you think?
Okay, so the company is like is
Widget
like a
corporation.
user, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And then so I definitely would give them options, right? I would try, like, I would approximate to the best of your ability and go ahead and give them options and not have it so that they can create their own quite yet. I think that's a good game plan. I think making it in the database gives you the flexibility of offering the option for them to create their own or for you to create things for them, right? So I definitely would keep it in the database and not in an option set.
Yeah.
So the list of companies on this one that you happen to be on right now, the region. So is that like you're going to create a template and then keep track of which companies are supposed to have that? Because that is a little bit opposite of the way that I would do it. I would prefer that your company have, like you have it, company has an industry that belongs to the company. And then that one that is belongs to the company then references the industry segment region rather than trying to keep a list of companies that have selected it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I had it this way. And then this morning I thought, no, it should be this way. And then I thought, what time is it? When is it 1 o'clock? When does office hours start? So
When does
it
that-
sounds like
Perfect.
this then should have, it should have this in it.
Well, hang on a second, because so
Wherever
if you're not going to let them create their own yet, right? You're just going to put in like upload a list of industry segment regions, right?
yeah, I'm thinking of that.
And then the same with the industries and the same with the industry segments and the same with the segment size.
No, they can create their own industries because there's too many for me to, that would be too limiting if I only
Okay,
offer
but
them.
then what's the segment part mean? Because wouldn't that
So-
also be the same?
No, because this might be financial services, for instance, FinServ, that's a big category everybody's selling into. But this one might be things like private equity, commercial bank, retail banking, investment, insurance, cybersecurity insurance. There's a lot of things that fall in that category. But I don't know them all for every industry. So I don't want to try to offer them a canned one, like, for that. So I wanted them to be able to create those themselves.
So the industry and industry segment are things that you want them to be able to create for themselves.
Yes.
And then do you want to offer them some options?
Yeah, I'll probably put up some pre-ones like FinServ, healthcare, life sciences, things that everybody's selling into. So
Mhm.
they can just click and they don't have to type it in, because I'm worried also about garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, I'm worried about the data quality of users
Right.
entering data.
Well,
So
I wouldn't let anybody see. We were just talking about this with, I think, was it Fabio last night? I wouldn't let anybody see any of the options they create for themselves. They would be the only ones to be able to see that, but then they could see ones that you create in the data piece.
right. Yes, that was my intention.
Okay. And the industry segment region, what is that exactly again?
So this would just be the geographical region, APAC, EMEA, however you pronounce it, US, US Northeast, Southeast, whatever.
Okay.
So that'll be pretty different. I mean, the big ones like, APAC or whatever, everybody uses that, but not everybody's selling internationally. So that'll be canned. I'm only going to offer US and international. I'm not going to worry about Canada or anything like that yet, because it's easy to change, easy to add to.
Okay. Hey, Ben. And then the segment size is also going to be pretty canned. They don't need
I
to
think I'm
change
just
that.
gonna go with Soho SMB Enterprise Global. I don't think I'm gonna, originally had it
Those words mean nothing to me by the way.
small to medium business, enterprise, corporation.
Okay, so
Uh,
that should
yeah.
be an option set.
Okay.
So industry segment size and probably industry segment region should probably both be option sets. And then the question is whether you set them on the industry object or the industry segment. And I would probably set it on the industry because the industry will refer to an industry segment, and vice versa. And then the industry will have fields for the industry segment region option set and the industry segment size option set. Does that make sense?
Thinking about it. I'm imagining how I'm gonna work with that data and
Yeah, so each company will have an industry thing made in the database. You could probably pre-make it, like at the same time that you create the company thing, you'd probably also create the industry thing. It just won't be set yet. And then you'll give them like the option to choose from a predefined list, which are industry things that do not have an owner, right? And that you add to the database. And then you'll also give them the option to create their own. And the same thing for the industry segment, right? You'll give them the ability to, so the industry is going to have the industry thing that belongs to the company will be able to refer to be able to probably adopt the things from the template. Here's where it's getting a little confusing.
right.
The industry thing in the database is going to do multiple jobs. It's not just going to be one kind of thing in the database. You're going to, if you want to show them a list of things that it could be, then you could, then you'll create some industry things in the database that are templates. So go back into your data types. And under industry, create a new field that's called owner. And that's going to be of type company.
I already have company in there.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that's going to be who owns it. So when you create an industry thing and the company field is empty, it's going to be a template.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And that's
Yes.
what you're going to upload to the database is you're going to have whatever like 100, 1,000 industries that you upload in the database. You're going to have to figure out how you want to organize that so they can find them. Like if they're like big categories and then subcategories. I think that's what you're after with the industry segment. Okay. But generally, you would have like, 5 to 10 categories of things, and then you would segment down. But it sounds like you're expecting more than that for the number of industries.
I'm probably not expecting more than maybe 25, maybe 50 would be a lot, but so 50 tops. I think that's way more than than we would need. Because, I mean, if you look at the way we talk about business, there's only so many ways to categorize. But though if you look at the codes, there's, hundreds of them. I'm not going that deep.
Well, then I'm wondering if it doesn't make sense, but you want them to be able to make their own industry?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you are expecting more than 25 to 50. Like if you think that there's going to be people signing up to your app that aren't going to fit into 25 or 50, then you're expecting a lot more. Right? Like
of industries, I mean, no, not really. I mean, because everything's categorized so broadly, like manufacturing and is huge. That's a huge thing. You divide
then
it.
I would consider not letting them select, like make their own industry. like maybe leave one that's called other. And then you can ask that, like, you can follow up with the ones who say other and see like what you need to add or whatever. I'm just trying to think about like how can we simplify, because like 4 different things that are all kind of related to each other tangentially, like that's a lot of complexity to keep track of. But if we can make the industry segment region, so the industry region and size, if we could make those option sets, and then the only like real differentiation is in the industry segment, that will help simplify things, because then on the company itself, you can have an industry field of type option set industry, and then the same for region and size, and that could be stored on the company thing.
But then it couldn't, it's an option set, so they couldn't add to it or change it. We have what we have.
That's what we're trying to do, Jay. Like I'm trying to help you simplify it, because what you're probably running into as you're building is there's, like you said, too much flexibility. It makes it more complicated to build.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
So if you want to let them make their own industry and industry segment, you can leave it that way. But then I'm at a little bit of loss, because I need to understand, like, how is that going to, like, are these just things that they're setting so that they can set them, or does it have actual like
It's part of
effects
the,
in terms of what they can do in the app?
it does.
Okay, so explain that part of the puzzle to me.
So when they are creating a request or an approval flow, they have the ability to set one up for, like, they want to send a message to an SME who, for like, talk about the pains in the healthcare industry specific to a large physician groups in the Northeast of the US. I want them to be able to get highly specific pieces of information out of their subject matter experts. So this one's broad, but it should be able to be drilled down. So that I need to be able to create all these prompts, which are in here somewhere, all these prompts that are specific to an industry and or platform and or product.
Okay, so if I clicked industry, what would happen?
Okay, so I'm in the middle of changing that up right now, but you'd have these broad ones, platforms, and I haven't yet added
No. So this is, you're talking about adding an industry. Okay, so companies will have more than one industry.
Yes, they'll usually have 3 to 5, sometimes more. If they're a big company, they'll have a lot.
Okay, that does change things. So when you click that add industry field, then it's adding a new industry in the database.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you click that button? You get a form to pick the industry, or to set the industry? You might
Yes.
have to, okay. Is it set up, or are you just waiting for the reload?
We're going to find out.
Okay.
I don't think it's showing yet, but I was working on it when we started. This is the group here. So they can pick the segment, the region, the size, and then they can associate it with platforms, and they can associate it with people. Obviously, this is not what it's going to look like, but this is the general idea. So here's a repeating group. This is a copy.
Is this set up that you can
edit.
show me? Like, you can click the button and show me in the preview?
Why isn't this showing? There it is. So these aren't, obviously I'm in the middle of changing this up, so you can't see it too much. But right now what it would be is what you're supposed to see, and it works in other areas. This is a list of what they already have. So the products that they've named, in this case, it'll be the segments that they've already preloaded themselves when they did the system setup. And then the regions of sizes, and they can either remove from the list that displays here, or they can add from the list that displays here.
All right. And when they click the plus button for segment, what are they seeing exactly? A list of segments that you've predetermined,
Yes.
but you want them to be able to add their own if it's not specific enough.
Yeah, it's
And
something
then,
like
but
this.
how does then, like, when you're drilling down and you're reusing these things that you're setting on this page, like how you showed me the pop-up with the pane, right? Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? I'm having a really hard time understanding, like, the prompt needs to get down, drill down all the way into their segment and size and stuff like that, or like, I don't understand.
Yeah, this is for the administrator to set up the system. So once the administrator has set all these things up, like added the platforms, the products, the industries, and the sub segments and all that, then that is done. And then a regular user, all they need to be able to do is launch a request. And they don't have to think about any of that. It's all here. So they don't have to, they don't have to interact with the system very much. They can launch a request in just 3 or 4 clicks.
Yeah, but show me where it gets to the point where they're selecting something that is based on the things that you just set in the other thing that you were showing me. Like, if they choose an audience, it's business, right? Okay, so I choose the audience.
I don't think that part is working yet. Let me see where one is. Like that.
So these are just different options that their admin has made available to them in this process.
Yeah.
Okay. So go back to your database.
Back to where?
Your database. In your editor. So they're going to create multiple industry things, and they're going to be able to make their own. And you can give them, like, the question is whether or not they're creating their own, or they're choosing from something that you've uploaded for them. Right? The thing that you upload for them can either be a thing in the database, or it can be an option set. You only have 2 choices there.
Right.
So it's I would say probably, if you make it a thing in the database, then you can use the template idea that I was talking about. You can show them a drop down, and then you can have a field next to it that's like, or create your own, right?
Yeah.
And then they just can set the fields on the industry and create their own. They can attach that industry thing to an industry segment. Again, you can have a drop down of templated industry segments, or they can create their own. And again, they would create all of the fields of that thing. And then I would still suggest making the segment region and the segment size to be option sets and not things in the database. And not let them create that if they need more or less. If you create an option set with a region, you can have one of the choices be other, and the same for size. And then you can put a trigger in the database. If anybody ever like selects those, it notifies you, and you can reach out and figure out what you're missing.
That's a good idea. Okay. All right, I'll dig into that. Thank you.
Does that make sense? Like how you would go about putting that on a page?
Yeah, the idea of using it as a template makes a ton of sense. That was my intention with this.
Okay.
Just having this stock list that could then feed into this being a stock list that would feed into this custom content that then
Yeah.
feeds into this custom content.
Okay.
I just ended up getting a little looped around because originally I had all that stuff in, oops, wrong button. I had all that stuff in here, size, region, all this other stuff. But when I went to actually use it and work with it, it was a hassle to get it to display right. And the nested repeating groups were not great. That's one thing that I'm finding kind of frustrating with the responsive engine is multiple nesting of repeating groups is, there's a lot of, cross your fingers and hope.
I don't understand why there would be more nesting repeating groups. Thomas, do you experience that?
I never nested any repeating groups, so I can't speak on that. If that was the question.
Yeah, that was the question. Like with the new responsive engine, is there more of a reason to nest repeating groups?
Yeah, I
Hey,
would.
Tila.
I mean, I don't know that there's more of a reason to, but there's always a need to.
Hey.
Like this one is a repeating group of industries. And that's here, that's a repeating group of industries. And in it, there's a repeating group of segments because I want those names. And then in that, I had to have another repeating group to show the segment sizes. It ends up, because each one feeds the other, it ended up being just a pain. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't.
Oh, got it. Because you're doing a repeating group to show all of the different options that are stored in a list.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think moving two of those things into the option sets and then only having on the industry thing, you can have a list of template industries showing, and then as a separate thing for the segment, you can have a separate place for them to choose the segment with the repeating group of the segment. I don't think it has to be in the same thing.
I think that where the friction came in was, for instance, something like financial services. You can have an HSBC bank that's all over the world, and they've got every market, like, small to large markets. But then if you look at something else, like, let's say, tax services, there's no international tax services, and there's only a few national. It's mostly small to medium business and small office, home office. So I don't want, when you look at FinServ, I don't want you to see everything. I want you to have to drill down to tax services to only see the two smaller sizes. Or if you go to commercial banking, you see all but the smallest size. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think that you need to, I'm seeing this more like, I'm just commenting on your comment that you're having to do a lot of nested repeating groups, which is a red flag. You shouldn't have to be doing a lot of nested repeating groups. Right. So maybe we can revisit that another time and see how things are being organized.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, no worries. Hey, Ben. Hey, Tila.
Hey.
How's it going? Good. Do either of you have any questions today?
Sure.
I do have something as well.
All right, Tila, go for it.
Okay. So I have in our app, we have badges, and I can't wrap my brain around the logic for one of our badges. It's for Weekend Warrior. So I want it to log when people are active in the community 3 consecutive weekends, and then they'll earn the badge. So I'm going to show my
so you have to count.
Yeah, so you have to count. Let me show my screen here. And I'm pretty sure there's got to be a better way to do this. It got really long because I'm checking for, I guess, if it's weekends, the day, basically.
And that is a long expression.
Right. I'm like, there's gotta be a way. So I do have, so there is a
So
a
I
field.
think I would store it in the database when they're active on a weekend. And I would, you know what I mean? And then like, and I would do the count. Like I
So
would
we
maybe.
do. It
Okay.
is stored. Their dates are stored. But it's the part that made it so long in my head, and like again, I'm open to what makes it simpler, but it has to be consecutive weekends. So
Right. So it has to be a Saturday or a Sunday,
right.
and it has to be within, what is that, like
Oh, the 7
within
and 8.
eight
So I was
days
trying
of
to
the
do
like last weekend?
yeah, so that it would know. So if it's a Saturday, if it's a Saturday and it's within 7 days, you know that was a Sunday. So if they log in today and it's Saturday, right?
Mhm.
If the previous date that's on the list was 7 days from now, you know that, or Sunday, I would say. But if you know it was 7 days from now, that's going to be a Sunday. So you know that was also a weekend. But if it wasn't consecutive, so it wasn't that 7th or 8th day ago, meaning falling on a weekend, then it clears the list. And they have to
So I
start.
think, so you have a list of dates?
Do I have a list of dates?
Yeah, is that how you're storing the dates here?
Yeah,
Maybe
so
if
in
you
this
show
field,
me, okay.
yeah, absolutely. You want to see the dates on a person right now? Is that what you're looking?
Yeah.
Or
mhm.
just the, okay.
Like where is it being stored?
I'll show you. Oh, like where is it being stored? So it's in the. Oh, nobody has.
Okay,
dates.
so it's a list of dates.
It is a list of dates, yes.
Okay, and then you want to award, so you're adding the date to that field every time they log in on a weekend.
Correct.
And you're doing one every time, if in the same weekend, if they logged in 5 times, would there be 5 new dates added there? Or do you modify the last one if it's the same weekend?
I don't modify the last one. If it's already, and I can't find it right now, but if they already have a date in there for that weekend, it does not add a new one. It only logs in
Okay,
once for
got
that
it.
day.
Okay, so you're just keeping track of the first time that they log in on any given weekend and store that date. Okay, that's
Correct.
awesome. So I think you just need to go back to where you're doing this count, like where you're trying to get, like, when is the badge? Okay, so this is a database trigger. Perfect. So I think it's so I don't think you need to keep track of the user now as active stuff. I think what you're doing is
That's what, so this goes to your previous question. This is where this is what's logging that date once. So the trigger is if we log them as active right now and it's what is this, a Sunday, a 0 Sunday?
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's a Sunday, then we're gonna log it.
So we're in this if not consecutive clear list. Okay.
This might be something that I need to just do a one-on-one, since it's such a lengthy thing to look over.
Well, we can check in. Ben, are any of your questions like urgent right this minute?
No, to be honest, they're probably one line in the Slack, and then that's it. There's nothing major. I just have that list of stuff in case
Yeah.
no one had any questions. So go nuts.
Awesome. Okay, let's knock it out here. Okay, so you're just talking about, should I clear this list? So I think the list can be cleared
Well, I think it's not
if we can
tracking, or it's not, I think something's wrong because it's not, nobody's getting the badge. So I think it's messed up
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah. I look at that expression. I'm like, there's a lot of things going on in that expression. So is there a way that we can simplify the expression and make it more elegant? And I think there is. I think what we're looking for is when user now, and then that badge field that's on the user. And then we're comparing the things in that list when the count of that list filtered to weekends within a certain time period is 3, then you award the badge and clear the list.
Okay, so you don't think I don't need to clear the list every time? Like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. So if you're looking, like, all you have to do is you have to, when you add a date to that list, that's what's going to trigger the database workflow. And then in that workflow, you're just going to compare all of the dates in that list and see if they fall within the last 21 days or whatever, for 3 weekends or however many days it turns out to be.
Oh.
And see if the count is 3. And if you have 3 of them in that list for that time period, then you go ahead and award the badge and you can clear the list. Or you can just clear the first one off the list. I don't know. Is it a badge that you give multiple times or just one?
Just once.
Okay, yeah, then you don't need to clear the list. You can actually just leave the list there. You can clear it out if there are any that I would clear. You can do the logic so that you're clearing dates that are not consecutive, but keep the one that they just did that
Okay.
would be, right? So like if I add a date to the end and I have 3 dates in there, but then, yeah, so if I add a date to the list and the previous one isn't within the last week, right? For the last weekend, then I go ahead and remove that and add today's date, right? And start the count over.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah. So, yeah,
So
so I
that's
think
what
it's
this-
just
I
a
think that's
simple
what this is.
comparison.
So that's what this was checking for. Like if it's not within the last, if this new active date in time is not within 7 days of the last one, then clear the list. But if it is consecutive, then add it to the list.
There's a lot more going on in that expression though.
I know.
So I think when you are logging them in, are you adding the date or is it just done? So okay, so when they log in, you're flipping something to active and then you set it to flip back to inactive after a certain period of time.
I think it's like every 2 minutes we're checking who's active on the platform.
Okay.
And so if we've already, if this has already been done for the day, then it won't do it again. So like if the first time that they're marked active on the platform for today, if it's a Sunday and their active day, today's active day is within 7 days of the last day, then yeah, that's how that's working.
So you have a lot of database triggers.
I do. Is that bad? You mean here, or you're talking about in general?
No,
around
just
here?
in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad if they're working and you're happy with the way things are working. It's just,
Yeah. Do you guys
I've never
tend to have some-
seen, no, I've never seen a database with that many database. I've never seen an app with that many database
Oh.
triggers on it.
Yeah, for all of our badges, that's what, because like there's a trigger for, you know, like once we're, for instance, on this badge, once their list is 3, then count, you know, then add their badge to them.
Okay, yeah, so go into the trigger
yeah.
itself. So users, before user changes is active, less than user now is active, and user nouns. And it's Sunday. And their badges doesn't contain weekend warrior. Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a more simple way.
I would say I would make a new trigger and let's just see if we can work this out.
Okay.
And then if it starts working, then you can delete the old trigger.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first would be, yep, new database trigger. And the way to do things that are not database triggers is just to have something done when the person logs in, like to
Right.
attach it as a workflow when they log in.
But if they don't, so I didn't do it on the login because if they don't log out, it won't trigger.
Got it.
Sometimes they don't log out for days.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine. We can leave it as a database
But you're
trigger.
saying it would be, so here, when we mark them as active, we update their active status. We could
Got
start.
it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you could trigger it from there.
Okay.
Where's that done? Is that that's on your feed page?
On the yeah, when they're on the feed scrolling the community.
And then you're not having any capacity issues, are you? Like
No,
app capacity issues? Okay.
not yet.
Knock on wood.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so let's just do it as a trigger for now. But I think I'd set the trigger to be that count on that specific field. You can name it. You can name it after me.
Gotcha.
You can say Tanya's attempt or whatever.
I usually do, let me do temp.
Okay. And then, yep, it would be user. And then only when that field, the weekend warrior badge, like date field. Actually, it would be user before.
Oh
Jean.
yeah, because you gotta compare the two.
Mhm. Count is less than 3. Or sorry, is less than, and then the user.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so if the count is less than the user now's badge.
Well, no, that would
weekend warrior.
be, but then that would be every time. So if you started with 0 before and now it's 1, this is triggering to add it. Or to add a date or add the badge. Because this would trigger every time.
Got it. So this is where you're actually interacting with that count. I think that might be some of the confusion then, is because you have one to add it, but then you're also trying to do a lot of the work of comparing it in the same workflow. Let's
Yeah,
see. Okay, so user before changes.
so what we want, for badge wise,
I
for
got
awarding the
it.
badge, we want if their count before was less than 3 and now it is 3, they get the badge.
Got it. So go and
Right.
just copy the expression from the other trigger in here.
Okay.
We'll use
And
the
this one
same one.
is,
Yeah, we'll use the same because I think that part of it's right. I think where it's getting tripped up is in the other pieces of the puzzle. So then now let's compare. Let's add the date to it, and you go back to the original one that you had.
okay.
If not consecutive, clear list. So click in the step 1. I'm just reading.
Okay.
So I'm going to write this down. If I have somebody sign in, okay, let's say that the first is a Saturday. And I have somebody sign in on the 1st, and then they sign in on the 8th, and then they sign in on the 15th. Then I want them to get their Weekend Warrior badge. And the difference from the 1st to the 15th is what, 14 days? So if last one is more than 7 days, which is what you have. So if I'm looking at that field on the user, so I look at the user's Weekend Warrior badge dates. And if the last item on that list is less than today's date -7, -7, then I'm going to set the list to today's date. And it'll be the only thing on the list. So the first thing that you have to do is, so scroll up.
Oh, that's it.
But
Oh,
where's the actual clearing of the list happening? Oh, you have the clear list.
Oh, up
Yeah,
here.
so it
Mhm.
wouldn't
Oh, I'm
be
sorry.
clear list though. It would be setting today's date. Right? You would set the list instead of clearing the list. Oh, that's what you have in step 3. You
Yeah.
can do that. You
So
can
maybe
do
I
it
can do
all
that
in
here.
one. Yep, you
Oh,
can just
okay.
do it all in one. As instead of clear list, set
Set
list.
list. Okay. Um, Okay. Uh-oh, what's going on?
Oh, got it. It's looking for a list. You can clear list. Set
Oh, yeah, that's
list.
why I did it. It was looking for a list.
Well, that's okay. We can still do it. So do a search for. So set list and then do a search for
Uh-huh.
and do users where the unique ID is current user's unique ID, or this user's, user now's unique ID.
That's still one thing, one date. Because is active, their active date is in a list. So now, yeah, that's why I ended up doing it separate, clearing the list and the date.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've been muted. No, go ahead and subtract out, go back backspace until you get back to the search for users. And instead of first item, just select the is active. So each items is active because there will only be one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Okay.
There you go. So now you've simplified it down to just this one action here. And then and so in step 3, you can go ahead and delete step 3, I think, because you've already added the date. And then if consecutive add date.
Set date. There you go.
Yep. And then if you go to the step 2, so I can see that. And do you know if this is like nobody was ever receiving the badge, so we know something was not working?
Yeah, I'm missing something because they're not receiving the badge. And yeah, because some people are like, I know I've been on here and I should have it by now.
And then that's a different trigger, right? Is when there's 3 dates that are actually added to that field, there's a different trigger that awards the badge.
Could it be that simple?
Yeah.
Could it be that simple that I'm just missing that? Please don't tell me that. Actually, let me hide this for a second.
Well, I mean, it depends because the badge could be something that you're just calculating on the page, or it could be an actual thing that you're setting to like, yes, they have this badge or something.
No, I don't think. I think that's what I'm missing, Tonya.
Okay.
And this might actually be working. I just don't have the.
Well, we can test, we can see. So we changed your setup a little bit. So go ahead and delete the extra trigger, the temporary one.
Okay.
And then go into your, well, it's up to you if you feel comfortable sharing your database. We could save this for after hours in a few minutes if you don't want to broadcast it live.
Yeah, I'll save it because I do have other, because
like we don't want to share. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So yeah, we can, but the way you look for it is you see if there are multiple dates being stored in that field.
Okay.
Because
So
if
there are
there's
multiple dates. Okay, so let me show you. There are multiple dates, and I did a repeating group, and I'm like, okay, it's getting dates. Like, what is? Oh my God, I can't believe like it's if that's what I'm missing. This does not have. Okay, so don't mind this. This is my test page where I like.
no worries.
Pull stuff up and see like what am I getting. But over here, so this is I did a repeating group to get everybody and what is in their field. And so it's getting dates. And I'm like, I thought maybe it wasn't, the consecutive wasn't calculating or something like that.
Oh yeah, so you're definitely getting the dates. So it looks like your flow is working. It just you probably want to limit it so that it doesn't run like after you do award the badge, you don't need to run it anymore.
Okay.
Just to save capacity. And then but it does look like you are getting same dates, because it looks like you see the November 14th at 2:32, November 14th at 4, November 6th at 9:43, November 6th at 6:40. So there's like, it is registering dates on the same day. So however you're extracted, like that part of it might not have been working as great.
Okay. So something might be wrong there. Okay.
Yeah, but it
Mm.
looks like you're definitely getting the dates, and then what you're trying to do is like at the point, like doing the comparison and saying, do I have
3 that are,
do I have 3 that fit into this list, but you only want to count the days once, so we got to figure that part out.
yeah. Because like this is a Saturday. This is a Saturday, but there's a gap between the weekends, so she would start over. This is a Saturday, and this is a consecutive Saturday.
Mhm.
So she would have 2.
Yep.
Okay. And I think what I was trying to do, that's why I was clearing the list, because I wanted it to be, and seems like I didn't finish the awarding part, but once the total of this list is 3, then award the badge.
Yep.
That's why I was clearing the list.
Yeah. And you still want to clear, well, I mean, you were clearing the list and then you were adding a date to the list, but now you've just consolidated that to like one action, which is
Okay.
good. Because that actually, like, yeah, so just we'll play around with the conditions on that so that it's only adding unique dates to the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once it gets to 3, then where are you storing, like, where are you storing the information that they earned that badge? Is it just when that list has 3 dates in it, then you consider them as having that badge? Or is
No,
there
we
like
actually have a field on the user.
Okay.
These are my
Yeah.
pretend users here, but there's actually a field on the user for all of their badges, user badges. So it would be in this list. And
Got it.
so,
So at the end of that trigger, the third action could be if the result of step 2, if the count is 3, then award that badge.
oh, gotcha. Okay. I can't believe that's what I was. I can't believe I'm missing this.
Girl, that is some complicated logic.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You and Jay both today. with the
That was
logic.
awesome.
Like, how can I do this crazy complex thing using both? The good news is you can.
I kind of admire the way there's so many triggers, because, you've embraced automation, Teal. You don't have to, do anything. It's
Right?
all
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah, that was the goal. Like
Yeah,
I have a ton, like so we have a drop down for each of our students updating like what they're done with a homework item. And as soon as the coach says they're done, it updates the database, but then the trigger, because it's what is that called? Where it automatically updates that database field. It's linked in that way. Auto bind. So that's auto bind. And then as soon as that field changes, it checks and does the trigger happens. So let's see, what am I doing here? Only when they're filled, right?
Yeah, actually, I would say the results of step 2. Yep. So if you say results of step 2,
Step 2 is what?
no, keep
The
going.
field. Okay.
Yep. If the result of step 2's field count is 3.
Gotcha.
Or you could even just say greater than 2.
Okay. Well, if you said greater than, well, I guess you can't add it more than once, but
Right.
okay, so that will
Is
add
3.
the badge.
And then, yep, that will add the badge. And so now we just have to make sure that the 2 things, that it's only like, we might have to add something to the trigger itself, so it doesn't trigger if the
Mhm.
if that count is
Oh, well, I have
greater than.
their badge doesn't contain weekend warrior.
Okay, yeah, okay. So as long as that's not true, then it won't be running. So yeah, then now we just have to make sure that we nail down the logic in step 1 and step 2 so that it's not adding multiple dates per weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then that's it. After
Okay.
we nail down that stuff, and then for testing purposes, I might simplify it just so you can test
Okay.
the logic. So
Okay.
like only if they sign up on Saturdays, so you don't have to do the second set of logic for Sundays as well.
Okay. That'd be great. That would work.
And then you can always change it to like
To add that in. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, setting up tests is tricky. It's time consuming in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Well, we are moving into the after hours portion of this office hours section or session. If you would like to join after hours and kind of like see what it's like when we turn on our cameras and stop broadcasting live to the world, you have to be a member, which means you need to go to pronocoders.com and sign up as an office hours member. And that gets you access 6 sessions per week. You can ask us any of your bubble questions that you want. Go sign up today before the price goes up on the 1st of January. Thank you everybody for watching. We will be back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time for episode number 181.